So, very hearty good evening to everyone, and it's an absolute joy to be here in a room full of wonderful future leaders, young at heart, young in age, delighted to be here. I also salute the incredible compassion that's lying in your hearts, in some places open and some places latent. So, I'd like to salute that and do namaste. I heard two dogs speaking to each other a few days back, and one of them said, "I've got some good news for you," to the other dog. So the other dog said, "What's the good news? Tell me." He said, "The world is going to the dogs." But humor aside, friends, if you look at Mother Earth, Mother Gaia, things are not so good. As we speak, there are raging fires in the Amazon forest, in Brazil, in Siberia, in Indonesia, huge forest fires. There is climate change happening, leading to tornadoes, hurricanes, droughts, floods. You've seen it. Ice caps are melting. Greenland glaciers are melting away. You also find a huge amount of inequity in the world. 1% of the world's population holds 82% of the earth, the whole wealth on the earth, right? So things are not too good. The question is, why is this happening? How has this human race, such an intelligent race, landed up in this mess that we're in? And the answer, friends, is that our definitions of success are a little erroneous. We are running around all over the place and accumulating things, not knowing what's happening. And there are three basic errors we're making when it comes to defining success. The first error is contraction. Our notions of success have become very contracted, very myopic. It's all about money, more money, me, mine. But what about values? What about character? What about other people? What about the environment? We don't think of that. And contracted thinking of success leads to fear and insecurity. And people are running around fearful, insecure. What will happen to my wealth? What will happen to the future? And this fear and insecurity leads to the desire to control. Success is controlling people, controlling events, controlling the environment, controlling animals. And not only controlling, but also trying to manipulate and use and exploit. That's not success. The third error we made in thinking about success is we have thought of success in terms of constraints. It is constraining, it is binding us, it has robbed us of our freedom. How far can you run if you have somebody's neck under your foot and you're trying to control them? How far can you run? You can't run very far. So constraints between nations, we can't easily cross over to other nations, we can't travel without visas and things. So I think, friends, these notions of success have really brought us to the kind of mess we're in. And if you look deeper within this, one of the things that has really created this problem is what we call the ego, a false notion of who I am. It's like the sun of compassion, the sun of the joy and peace in our hearts is overshadowed by these false notions of who we are, which we call the ego. It's almost as if everything is beautiful and bright, and I go around saying, it's dark in here, wherever I look it's dark, wherever I look it is dark, it's dark, it's dark. It's not dark. My eyes are closed. That's all. That's happening. And this thing, this ego here, is the thing that makes me blind and doesn't make me see. And we get eye trouble. I'm from IIM and IIT, and many of us IIM and IIT people get a lot of eye trouble. So, friends, and you know, the other thing that this does is it envelopes goodness over. Another way to remember ego is the beauty and grace and possibility of life is enveloped over, enveloping goodness over. And we go on accumulating. Let me tell you a story. When I was a child in Srinagar, a little boy in school, I had one eraser, one pen, and one pencil. This was my educational equipment to learn in school. Pen, pencil and eraser. I didn't have iPads. I didn't have any iPhones. I had nothing of that and had a lovely childhood. And today, if you go to my study, this is what you see. About 50 pencils, 60 pens, lots of paper, lots of trash, lots of books. For what? I don't know. I'm not going to use 50 pens together. Have you ever seen somebody using 50 pens together? Or 30 pencils together? No, it's just accumulation. And we have a little dog at home, and sorry, clutter. It jams the brain. It jams the mind, and thank God I could find the brain power to at least make this TED talk for you. And I saw some clutter on the stage when I came earlier this afternoon, and I asked my friends here, I said, what's this clutter here? They said, no, that's artistically placed clutter in the background, you know. So I said, okay, thank you. We have we have a little doggy at home called Zorba. And you know, sometimes with all this clutter there, I put the papers out onto the floor, and Zorby comes along and he pees on them. And it's almost like saying, you know what? Stop all this nonsense. Don't go on accumulating. Don't go on accumulating. And now that's why he's called Zorba the Master. We call him Master Zorba now. So now you might ask, then what is success? If all this is not success, what is success? Success, friends, is when you start working from a space of deep compassion in your heart. And we all have it there. It's all there. Out of compassion, when I have deep care for myself, for my body, and I am thinking in terms of acceptance and gratitude and joy and taking wonderful care of my body and my mind with deep compassion, really loving myself, I experience joy. When I start interacting with other people with courtesy, with kindness, with respect, irrespective of the color or the nationality or the religion, I treat them kindly. With a lot of compassion in my heart, I have peace. And when I start looking at nature exactly the way that I would with other people or myself, treating them with respect, kindness, and compassion, treating the animals and the forests and plants, I have abundance. Nature yields tremendous abundance to me. And all this, if every single one of us here started living with this compassion and treating ourselves and other people and environment with joy and peace and abundance and deep kindness, we would have a world that works for all. We would have a new world. How many of you would like such a world? Fantastic. We all want it. We all want joy and peace and abundance. Fantastic. So the question then is, who is going to make it happen? And the answer is, we are going to make it happen. We as leaders who are driven by compassion will make it happen. So what is leadership? So leadership is about co-creating new futures. Leaders co-create new futures. That's what we do. And how do they do that? They do that through conversations. Orchid School wasn't there 50 years back, but some people thought about it, and then we came together, people came together, and you have a beautiful school. This TED event wasn't there 3 years back, but then as Tanmay Goel explained to us, it happened. This is leadership. And the key thing here is mobilizing the collective genius of people and making it happen. Coming to clarity, conviction, and courage, these are the three things that make for compassionate leadership. Let me tell you 3 stories about this. Let's start with clarity. When I tell you about Kashmir, what's the first image that comes to mind? Terrorists and bombs and so on and so forth, and fighting and violence. But behind those clouds, behind the clouds of violence, when you remove the veil, you see beauty, you see great compassion, you see tremendous hospitality. Last year, we had a meeting of about 100 people, teachers and others in Srinagar, and we asked them, what do you admire about Kashmir? What do you like about Kashmir? And they said, we love the hospitality, we love the people, we love the spiritual heritage of the place, we love the cuisine, the yummy cuisine, and so on, and all that is there. So as leaders, can we look behind the clouds? It's only because there is a sun behind the clouds that it has a silver lining. Can we look at things with appreciation and gratitude? Incidentally, you all know that silver in chemistry is Ag, right? Silver is Ag. So just remember that, appreciation and gratitude. So that's the first story. Look at what are the gifts you have. Be grateful for things. The second story is about Pune being a compassionate city. Pune is a compassionate city, and so is Karachi. Today, when you think of India and Pakistan, you all hear about war and hatred, and earlier it used to be saber rattling, today it's missile rattling. You know, we'll throw this missile, that missile, and so on. But the point is, they're very, very compassionate people in Karachi, in Pakistan, and in Pune. So we said, why don't we get these kids in Pune to talk to the kids in Karachi? And that's what we did. Very happy that Orchid was one of the schools that made it happen. So we got 3 schools in Pune to talk to 3 schools in Karachi, 6 children talking to each other on Zoom, and let's see what happened. Let's actually see what happened.
We can build bridges between India and Pakistan through these type of NGOs or these type of sessions, which can tell us that there are many similarities between the two nations, and we aren't different, we are similar.
So we should encourage peaceful relations between us. No matter what is happening, humanity is above everything.
It is not hatred among the nations, it is just the mindset of a few handful of people that tears apart both of the countries. So it is important that there should be awareness camps and programs to change the mindset of the people.
भगवान और अल्लाह में फर्क क्या है?
मेरे ख्याल से वो सारे एक ही है, सिर्फ उनके नाम अलग।
कराची के बच्चों से मैं ये सवाल पूछना चाहता हूँ कि आपको कैसा लगा? स्वदा के बच्चों से मिल के कैसा लग रहा है आपको?
बहुत अच्छा, excellent.
I felt that there's still hope left in this world like that.
It is also like an assurance that the generation that is growing up is a positive one and is looking forward to help others.
You are the leaders of the future. You are going to create a new subcontinent, the new world. So, you know, I love that. The leaders are the youth. The leaders are the youth. They will write, you will write a new story. So when the teachers and administrators and all of us got together, we said we were amazed at how much maturity, how much compassion and maturity and clarity of vision these students had. So I'm very, very proud and happy to say that we will be spreading this to hundreds of schools in India and Pakistan, and you'll be very much part of that whole story. It's going to happen. Next thing, ask yourself, what is compassion calling me to do right now? Intuition. We know about outer tutors, they're tutors and you do tuition, but when the inner guide and inner teacher teaches you, that's intuition. So listen to intuition and you will know with conviction what you have to do. The third story. Did you know that 40% of the people in Pune live in slums? 40% of our city. But out of these slums have come some girls who have actually started making some of the most beautiful, exquisite jewelry that you can think of. They've become micro-entrepreneurs. They've discovered the khazana in them. With compassion, they work together, and they're thinking of going online. And all this happened because of tapping into compassion. The other thing is they did not accept poverty as something that they have to be stuck with. They made a leap. They made a jump out of poverty, inspired by that inner spirit and inner power that we all have. So leaders, as young leaders, remember this, the little formula of USA to come out of your comfort zone. I don't mean go to the USA, I'm not talking of that. I'm talking of do something unusual, scary and awkward every single day. And it is then that you will begin to tap into that power and make the leaps that the world desperately needs. To conclude, that's what compassionate leadership is about, and just a few tips and insights for action. The first tip I'd like to leave you with is practice mindfulness and silence. It'll help you to peel off the eye that creates the eye trouble. It'll help you peel off all the nonsense that covers the eyes, and it'll give you that energy and enthusiasm to go forward. The second tip I'd like to leave you with is be like a joker in the pack. Is the joker spades? No. Is it hearts? Is it diamond? Is it clubs? It's none of these, And yet, it can be any of these. So the compassionate leader, the wholesome leader, is a person, a man or a woman, boy or girl, who is really in touch with that creative intelligence and can flex and do whatever the situation requires them to do. The third tip, and probably the most important, is joyful action now before it's too late. A few days back, a glacier in Iceland breathed its last. It disappeared. And a plaque was put there. It was on the volcano Ok. On top of that, the glacier was there and it melted, it disappeared. And on the plaque it says, Ok is the first Icelandic glacier to lose its status as a glacier. In the next 200 years, all our glaciers are expected to follow the same way. We knew what we had to do, but only you know if you did it. Friends, that's really what it is about. We all know what has to be done. The question to ask ourselves, to introspect is, did I do it? Did I stand up and make that difference? When the call came from inside and from outside, was I there to make a difference or not? And if we listen to compassion, if we listen to our heart and we work with each other with great compassion in our hearts, we will co-create a world that you will proudly hand over to your children and grandchildren with our head and hearts held high. Thank you very much.